Riot Games announced that they are opening up betting sponsorship opportunities for League of Legends and Valorant esport teams in the Americas and EMEA. They stated that according to Sport Radar, there was a $10.7 billion betting turnover on just Valorant and League of Legends in 2024, most of which likely being in unregulated markets. They've partnered with Grid to be the required source for official stats in any sports betting partnerships. They were careful to note that official broadcasts and their social channels will not partake in gambling sponsorships, and that teams cannot have their logos on their jerseys. So it will be up to each individual team then to craft how sports betting related content shows up on their channel within Riot's guidelines, content platform TOS, and local regulations. Riot will also vet each sponsor.
Sure.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is a good thing to have in here.
No responsibility for the words.
This is a good thing to have in here.
I take no responsibility for the words that are about to escape between mine meat folds.
I wish he was here.
Sammy's extremely hot and spicy take.
We need more of these on Wayne Show.
Is that this is good. His TLDR is that esports isn't particularly profitable at the team level, so increasing sponsorship dollars for teams, plus Riot taking steps to regulate this, is a positive for me. The sport is maturing, and this is the result. But of course, be responsible.
I think it's a good thing for the sport. I think it is a depressingly bad thing for humanity. That's my take.
Yeah,
I do think it's a good thing for the sport.
I'm very proud that we have never taken a gambling sponsorship. If I had to choose between the survival of the company and the ongoing employment of everyone here, would my principles bend? I have nothing to gain by having this conversation in public, and only your opinion of me to lose. The truth is, I don't know.
That's tough.
I actually
don't know. It's also even
know.
tough to identify that scenario, you know?
Well, yeah, because there'd always be another way. Like another way could be we cut staff.
OnlyFans.
Sure. I could sell
Nick like right now.
No, you're not. Denoli 444 says, Luke and Linus, have you seen the gambling stats for young adults in Canada? It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's depressing.
It's
because it's been extremely normalized. Like I honestly never thought I'd see this. It's totally taboo.
It's quaint to see an old episode of like The Simpsons or something where like, you know, the guys are over for the guys are over for gambling night. Why? I don't know. I don't know if The Simpsons ever did it, but you know, like sitcoms did that. You know, like, aren't you a cop? Yeah, whatever. It's poker night. You know, like that bit. Now, I don't think anyone would even bat an eye these days.
No.
Like if Luke and I gambled right now, would anybody care?
It would be normal content.
It would be normal streaming content.
Which is sad.
The platforms wouldn't care. The audience wouldn't care.
You watch sports, which never used to talk about it ever. It used to they would actively try to get stuff shut down. And now it is the main advertiser for like everything.
Dude, I talked about it already.
The casters talk about it.
I talked about it already, but it bears talking about again, or merits talking about again. I watched the Stanley Cup Finals this year. I couldn't believe how brazenly they were promoting problematic behaviors, problematic gambling behaviors. They weren't just saying, you know, you can gamble, know your limit, play within it. Like that is in the past now.
That was the limit before.
Now it's like, bet on this one. Don't forget to bet on that one. But have you bet on this other one yet?
Have you put in enough bets? Be quick. It's going to like the betting for this is going to close at a certain point.
Don't bet on just one team. Bet on 3 teams. Like
There's a commercial that I saw recently where somebody like they have a jersey on and they place a bet for that team. And then their like friend comes over and they're wearing a different jersey.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That's a horrible commercial. That is
awful.
A terrifying commercial because it is promoting stupid betting habits.
Yeah, just betting at any time for
Like,
any reason.
For any team,
Constantly.
no research, no thought process, betting based on the most recent random thing you saw. That is what they're promoting. It's horrible. It's actually so bad. God, it like ruins people's lives all the time. And I don't understand. It's so weird to me that so few people hold this opinion now. It's so odd to me. Like, is this me just being a boomer?
These two messages.
All these young kids and they're gambling.
These two messages are back to back in Floatplane chat. Trash Cat says, I'll do the other one first. It's the Frenchiest Fry says, my Boy Scout troop did a fantasy football competition. And fantasy football can be fun. It can be. But oftentimes there's money involved. And I think it's not a ridiculously wild take to say that playing for not money could lead to playing for money. Could, potentially. If you are the kind of person who is susceptible to be drawn in to that lifestyle. Right next to them, my younger brother got hooked on gambling and is like $10,000 in debt. Those two messages right there. Dude, I talked about how much I hated, especially after watching Mark Rober's video on how rigged amusement centers and arcades are. I hated how much those games were training my kids for gambling. Whenever we'd go into them. It's gambling with training wheels. It's kiddie gambling.
Yeah. It feels like that whole. I think it's Nescafe. Do you know this story? Is it the wrong brand? There's a coffee brand that wanted to get into Japan, but yeah, you know this story. There's a coffee brand that wanted to get into Japan, and they worked with somebody or did some market research or something and found that nobody in Japan likes coffee. They all like tea. So they started introducing like kids candies and stuff that were coffee flavored. So that the kids would get used, it was Nescafe? I don't know, it was someone. The kids would get used to the flavor of coffee. And then they kept doing stuff like that. And now coffee is like an enormous industry in Japan. They got into Japan, not by convincing the adults that it was good. They got into Japan by, and Nestle owns Nescafe. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Great. By like effectively advertising to children through getting them used to the flavor.
Coffee psyop.
So these little like, oh, it's kind of gambling, but it's not really, and it's for kids, is like definitely to get kids more into gambling when they're older. That's for sure a thing. That's one of hot takes coming back to WAN show. I'm excited. This is the whole thing about why I don't balk as hard at the Nintendo game price increase. Because if I'm trying to think, if I had kids and I had to give them a game, I would much rather give them older games or games that don't have microtransactions in them.
I'm going to dump some cold water on that.
Sure.
There's literally gambling in Pokemon Blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps that
also,
you like just lose.
also, I would say that oh man. Is Nintendo super gacha? I don't think so. They'll milk you. They'll sell you amiibos. They'll sell you 2 copies of literally going back to the Game Boy. They would sell you Pokemon Blue like and Red and a link cable.
King of the milkers.
They'll milk you. But they're not super gacha. Apparently they have gacha mobile games. Oh. You can't count on anybody. You can't count on anybody these days.
Dang, that's sad. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, I think there's value to trying to avoid these things. But it is weird to me. There is anti-gambling is like not that big of a thing anymore. Like everybody just gave up, and it felt like everybody just gave up at like the same time. It was weird.
I feel like Twitch just like made it super mainstream. You know what? Oh, back to what you were saying about Nescafe and the candies and stuff. That's actually something that blew my mind about McDonald's strategy. Like, McDonald's has been struggling. They've been closing stores. Broadly speaking, I don't know if they like had a good quarter last quarter or whatever.
The worst rebrand in the world.
But they've basically, as far as I can tell, lost their mojo back when I was making the transition to adulthood. Remember when they brought in, they got rid of the fun kid-friendly restaurants with play places,
and they made them
and they brought in
McCafe
with the green and the brown, and they tried to be Starbucks. And it's like, and something that I've been trying to figure out for basically my entire adult life is what the hell were they thinking? The only reason that anyone I knew ate McDonald's was because they ate it as a kid. And my kids don't even like McDonald's. But I will say that the occasional McDonald's we went to when they were young, and they still had more of the ones that had like the play centers in them and stuff, they enjoyed going there. McDonald's figured it out like decades ago that you just wanted to associate the flavor of McDonald's with happy family memories, and you'd be hooked for life. And then they were just like, you know what? Cartoon characters that appeal to kids? No, forget it. Adults have more money. We should appeal to adults. Guess who buys stuff for kids? Are you crazy? Anyway. Good luck, McDonald's. Truthfully, I don't care about your success. Your food sucks. And yes, that is just conditioning. So much of marketing, Maori in Floatplane chat, is just conditioning.
Is it Maori?
Maori, I don't know. Shabhamg says, McDonald's is not a service company, it's a real estate company. Yeah, but I mean, what's the machine that creates the money to invest in real estate? Like, you have to have an operating business. All right. Ooh. Should we talk about Dbrand's Kill Switch 2 case controversy?
What does this say? Hold on.
Oh, what are you doing? What am I looking at? That's awesome.
This is sick.
Is that current?
It seems like it. See, like, that's sweet. Well, that's uninspiring, but...
Well, yeah, why is fast food so much better in Japan?
That looks cool.
That's wild. All right.
Make McDonald's cool again.
Dbrand's Kill Switch 2 case has been under fire for having issues with Joy-Cons detaching when pressure is applied. Dbrand responded on Reddit with a lengthy post with a lot of focus on how the device is generally meant to be held. Uh-oh. They outlined that the issue stemmed from some manufacturing tolerances in the case for the Joy-Con controllers, and committed to dealing with any affected users. But the takeaway from the Redditors who saw the post was, you guys did not just, you're holding it wrong us, did you? A couple days later, Dbrand issued a part 2 to their response. They condensed their longer response down to just 4 points and acknowledged the shortcomings of their previous response. Dbrand provided us something to read. We fucked up. Them, not us this time. It's not my controversy. Hashtag not my controversy.
It wasn't us.
Not only did we fuck up by not seeing this prior to shipping, but we fucked up by responding with 4,000 words that could have effectively been boiled down to, you're holding it wrong. Ultimately, debating the right or wrong way to hold a console is besides the point. Customers should be able to hold this thing however they want without the Joy-Cons detaching. After reading the feedback, it is clear that neither our response nor the conditional if you're affected solution was welcomed by the community. Since then, our engineering team has dug deep to find alternative solutions, come up with 2, and we have communicated this new plan. Everyone is getting a free replacement regardless of whether they're severely affected, haven't experienced the issue, have emailed us a dozen times, or have no clue about any of this. On July 10th, we'll know which of the 2 proposed new Joy-Con solutions is going to be viable. One is mass producible and a real improvement over the current good but inconsistent version. The other is borderline impossible to mass produce, but we're going to try anyway because it will result in a Joy-Con attachment that's truly flawless.
You can't say that and then not do it. That's so dangerous.
In the end, we remain committed to candor, responsiveness, and when we something up, making sure we own it and getting customers the right product. You, on the other hand, remain short.
I like dbrand. They're good stuff. They're good stuff.
You know what else is good stuff?
I still remember before we had this level of relationship with them. I remember one time at CES, I had filmed so many videos and I was mentally cooked. And I got to another dbrand sponsorship, and I think it was my like 5th of the day or something. So instead of saying the ad read, I just said their name like 50 times. And the next day I was like, oh man, I like probably shouldn't have done that. And then they saw it and were like, this is amazing. And I was like, whoo, all right, they're cool.